Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
This is Matt.
and today we're going to talk about Wizardry.
Wizardry from 1981.
Right. Oh, I forgot we were going to start doing this. We started this last time, and I sort of spaced it. Every month, we get together and talk about a different game. In this case, this game is Wizardry. We're not necessarily doing a review. We're just doing our own opinions of after having played the game for a month.
Yeah,
It's
it's
meant
like
to
a
be
book club.
like a book
Yeah.
club. It's meant to be a conversation. Um, Hopefully, you guys will take something out of this, but if not, that's fine. It's going to ramble. It's going to get off topic. We're going to talk about other games sometimes, but we will mostly be talking about Wizardry.
Speaking of
Mostly.
speaking of off topic, should I be seeing the video? Because I don't see it.
Oh,
I just see
yes,
your icon.
yes, you should.
Okay.
This is the kind of high professional quality.
Okay. It took us an hour to get
Yeah.
the Google Hangouts just to work. So there we go.
It's been a morning already.
Yeah.
In our
So yeah.
defense, we were up late, and I
Yeah.
highly recommend everybody go play the forest. But other than that,
Yes. Find a friend.
find a friend, play the
Play
forest.
the forest.
Good game.
Get the chainsaw. That's
Chainsaw.
what you need to know about that.
Yeah. All right. All right. Trying to get back on focus here. Trying to have some sense
Yes.
of a quality production.
So, so Wizardry,
Wizardry,
1981,
1981.
definitely. Is this the oldest game that we've played?
Yes,
I think that might be because I had a bad time with Wizardry,
you did.
uh, and I think maybe a lot of it is just that it's so early uh, that I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was too early because it's definitely rough.
It's got some rough stuff in edges. It's based on I don't even want to say based on. There was some controversy about this being a ripoff of a game called Oubliette, which is a game that came out for the Plato system, which I don't know how many people even know what that is. But there was a network of computers in the mid late 70s where people could actually like write their own class lessons. And of course, the first thing people started doing was writing Dungeons and Dragons video games because all technology advances once you have uh, some sort of sex product and a Dungeons and Dragons game on it. Until that
Right.
happens, it doesn't go forward.
That's what drives society.
That's what drives society. And you might think I'm kidding, but think about it. Until you have Dungeons and Dragons and sex on something, it's just not a thing.
Nope.
Uh, nope. You need something like that. So I played Oubliette to get ready for this video. I've actually have a account with Cyber One that has some of the oldest RPGs on it, and I see the influence, but it's not a ripoff.
Hmm.
I will debate anyone on that point. This is influenced, but not a ripoff. Um, I would rather play Wizardry than Oubliette, partially due to the real time mechanics in Oubliette, but because I mean, imagine playing this where you're typing stuff and the monsters are attacking in real time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a
That's a
lot to
lot to
ask.
deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it, but it's a lot to ask. So
I played games like this when I was a kid. I played Death Maze 5000, which
mhm.
was came out in 1980, and it was the same kind of deal. Like you're in a maze, exploring. Um, but to me, the problem I had with Wizardry is it walked this weird line between being a, a grindy dungeon crawl and a role playing game.
Well, there's your problem. You tried to make it a role playing game,
Well, the thing is, you got to
not a
do
role
all
playing
this,
game.
but I mean, like, I want to say with Death Maze that they just dumped you in the maze and that was it. And
Mhm.
like, but here you have to do party management, buy things, heal people. Uh, and I shouldn't really compare this to Death Maze because it's been so long since I've played it, like literally,
Yeah.
more than 20 years. But that's the problem I had with Wizardry, was that I found myself spending so much time in this castle edge of town menu system, which
Mm-hmm.
is not fun.
No.
Uh,
And
and
then
I spent very little time comparatively in the maze.
until you're a higher level, that's sort of the situation. And that is one of my things I will give anybody as a ding against this. It's not a quick build. You're not
Right.
going to feel badass in the first 10 hours, 20 hours, whatever. It's a grind. And I recommend for people who want to try something like this, we'll talk about this more as we go through. But this is a game to be played in small chunks over a long period of time. You sit
Like,
down, you take your guys in, you level them up, and you're like, I'm good. I don't need to scratch that itch for another month.
yeah. Yeah, I could see that being kind of fun,
Mm-hmm.
but like we got I told you I was having a hard time with this, and we got together at one point and
Mm-hmm.
you were like, this is how you're going to like play Wizardry, and it was really helpful cuz you told me basically that that your starting area is like 3 rooms, uh that you're probably walking around now,
Mm-hmm.
and you stay in there till you hit like level 3. That's really good advice.
Yep.
But uh, the problem is that after pretty much every combat where anyone takes damage or you cast any spells, you have to go back
Yep.
and rest at the inn and
Well,
whatever.
so, and this is one of the things I showed you in there. Don't rest at the end. Leave, come back, have your priest cast its heal spells, and then walk around. Because resting at the end is going to cost you. But resting at the end is what you do to
Yeah,
level up. So after like two or
right.
three trips to the dungeon, your thief's probably ready to level. And then after that, almost every time you pop out, someone's ready to level because this does the old Dungeons and Dragons thing where every class is leveling at a different rate.
Hmm.
So, and I love that about it. I wish more games kind of did that because it gives you a constant sense of ping where you're hitting that, oh, I've just got another advancement. I've just got another advancement. I've just got another advancement without the whole party advancing in chunks where you're just huge
Right.
leapfrogs of power with your party. This is just, dude, this little guy went up. No, this little guy went up. Oh, I'm only like 100 more from this guy going up, so I might as well just run and do a couple quick dungeon things and come back. And I like that about it. I like that I feel like something's always moving forward.
Yeah, as far as the pacing goes, that's the good news about the pacing in Wizardry. The bad news is
That's
that you
all
got
the pacing.
that. Yeah, that's yeah. So like just like yesterday, I finally okay because you die a lot. Like your guy 4-bit here has died.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's hard to like get any kind of relationship with these characters at the beginning of the game.
No.
Like if you looked at this is like the perfect way to summarize my issue with this. If you looked at the names of my first 6 characters, they were like names. They were like, you know,
Yeah.
characters I always make in every role playing game. If you look at my party now, it's WizDOS, which is what you type to run the game, Fighter 3, Fighter 4, and then I have like maybe one or two of the guys,
Yep.
because you just grind through so many of them. And like I don't really want to play a guy named Fighter 4, but I ran out of like good fighter names, and I'm just like, this dude is gonna die.
Well, I like
So
that I bothered to like keep coming up with names. Like when 4-bit's dead, if I decide okay, 4-bit's dead, it's now 4-bit the second.
oh yeah,
It's
yep,
4-bit the third. I'm
five
not I'm not
5-bit,
changing the name. We're
yeah,
just we're avenging his death.
yeah. It's just like I just got so, and then you have to like strip all their shit off or buy it again, which you can't really do.
y-
And this menu system at the castle is abysmally bad.
I'm not going to defend the menu system. I will not do that.
You have you have none of the information you need, and you can't do everything in every place. Like, you can't pool your gold at every
I'll take issue.
place.
You have the information you need. You know who can use what, and you know that if it costs more, it's better.
Yeah, but you don't know, like, okay, so I go to the temple to
Mhm.
resurrect or unparalyze or any number of things that happen to your guys, and it's like, oh, who's gonna tithe the $500? I don't know who's got $500, so I got to go to the store, pool my gold, go back. It's just
Okay.
like, that's
All
what I mean.
right.
I don't know who's got 500 gold because it's not on the screen.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
and and it's rife with things like that, and you have
No.
to do everything one character at a time, because you can't really, well, I take that back, you can trade equipment, but it's so burdensome to trade equipment that it's easier just to deal with shopping each guy individually.
Yeah.
So like, my experience, I'm just kind of going off on this
Go
thing, and
off
I'm
on
sorry.
it. It's awesome.
There's a lot of good things about this game that maybe I'll think of later, but right now, like, my experience was go to the castle, fight, go out, go back in, fight, go out, go back in, level up, uh, and then someone dies, and then I have to go strip them all their equipment, like, make another character,
Hmm.
re-add them to the party, and the dead people are still at the inn where you build your party, because you can't do it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But you can't see who's dead. So, like, once you wind up with a bunch of dead guys, you got to kind of go back and clean house, and then
Oh yeah. You
uh,
retire them permanently. Like if you're like this guy's not gonna come back,
yeah,
we're gonna just smoke him.
yep.
And
But then
I don't
but
remember
then
where
you
you
have
go for that, but yeah.
you, you can do it, I think, from the tavern. But then you have to add them to your party to strip them. So
Hmm.
you take them out, and then you have to take them back out, and it's just like shuffling shit around so much at the beginning that it was like a burden almost.
Right. It's one of those where it's a huge pain in the ass at the beginning, but if you stick with it, I feel like it makes you feel more of a badass when you're higher up
I
because
can definitely see that.
you went through so much crap and then you're down there like mowing through dragons that are coming at you and you're like, "Yes."
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because like that was kind of how I felt with Shard of Spring too. Like, I
Hmm.
really had to grind through the beginning of Shard of Spring,
Yeah.
uh, and then I felt like I started to like it a lot when I could, like, you
Hmm.
know when I could hang.
No, and I
Uh,
feel like it took us too long to get you into a spot for this to where
yeah,
you even yeah.
a lot of that was my fault, because it's the summer and I got more stuff going on, and
Hmm.
uh, I just traveled and shit. But anyway, what I was gonna say, uh, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
I don't know.
It was definitely negative, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was gonna bitch about something that I saw.
We'll find it again.
Yeah.
We'll
Why
get
do you
to it.
only have 5 people in your party here?
Someone was dead,
Oh,
and
so
I
you
was
just go back in with 5. You don't recreate a guy.
sometimes like if I'm like gonna try and resurrect them, I might go in with 5, get their XP up, get some money. I'm like, I'll just come back. And
That's
there's
cool.
yeah, I'm like, I've got a fighter thief priest, so the magic users aren't up front. I don't, as long as I'm staying in my little 3 hidey hole rooms, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's another thing that's kind of weird too. I know what I was gonna say. A lot of it was my fault because I didn't read the manual as many times as you need to read the manual to
As many
play this
times
game.
as you need to read the manual.
Yeah, because I like we live in 2017. Let's pretend like you know
Yeah,
we're not going to pretend like it's 1981. So
no,
I'm going to pull the PDF up and search the manual for things.
right.
And there were things I couldn't find doing that. So
Hmm.
at one point I think I read the manual, but like there were things I don't.
Okay,
remember
so you're not
from it.
talking about actually like reading the manual. You're talking about like I had to go into the manual multiple times to find.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did sit down and read a lot of the manual, but I don't know. I just like didn't absorb it or whatever.
Well, and
So some of that's my fault.
here's one of the things I think is interesting, and I wouldn't have thought about it without you saying that. For me, when I was in the 80s and stuff playing these games, loading this stuff up, one of the times I was reading the manual was while I was waiting for loading screens. So like
Oh,
while I'm waiting
that
for a
would
dungeon
help.
to load or I'm waiting for something like, well, I got the manual here and I'm in the game and it kind of keeps you in the mood. We don't I've got this running on an SSD. There is no loading times for
Right,
Wizardry.
right. Yeah, that is interesting, and like not because back in the day, like
hmm
you couldn't search, and
No.
there, I don't think there was an index or anything.
Mm-mm.
So,
No. I was looking
but
to see
like
if I could hear.
like the alignment system is really weird. This is one of the things I couldn't find in the manual. You swear it's in there. I didn't look enough to really argue that point, but like the alignment system is strange because you can't have evil and good characters in the same party. And these are the things that I like about this game. Like
hmm
those weird little decisions they made that like kind of make sense, or uh and your alignment can shift if you attack friendly monsters. And I
Right.
didn't know that. So that was like one of my uh I like lost a pretty far along character because I attacked a friendly monster and he went from, you know, good to evil or neutral to evil.
Yeah.
So that
Well,
was my bad.
you could have switched your
Uh,
party around for him. I mean, you'd had to
yeah.
lose other things. And there's one of the things that I kind of mentioned this to you, and I think for people of a modern day might help them. Think of this less as Pillars of Eternity and think of it more as Darkest Dungeon. You're going to have a roster of characters and you're going to cycle them out and you're going to send them in to do different things at different times to create different parties to
Hmm.
achieve different things. And there's no shame in that. There's no harm in that. There's no anything in that. Maybe today I want to take my whole evil party out, slaughter everything, and get my ninja all the way up because ninjas are badass. Maybe I want
Right.
to feel more heroic and I'm going to try and get a guy up to be a lord and be a paladin and do that sort of thing. Um,
Oh, yeah. This level up system is another one of those weird things. I saw you just leveled someone up
oh,
that
did
I
I?
like that I liked because you can level up and wind up kind of in worse shape than.
Right. So weird.
But it
So
does
weird.
kind of make sense because like if I think about myself, like I've leveled up to, I'm
hmm
37 and my strength's gone down. Definitely.
oh, my strength's gone way down.
Oh yeah. But my intelligence has gone up.
yeah.
So no, that kind of makes sense. But it's weird because you're used to like, oh, awesome, I leveled up. Now I'm gonna be better.
hmm
But you're not necessarily better in this game. Like you are in the sense that your hit points
Your hit points go
always
up.
goes
Your
up.
attack hit to hit goes up, and a bunch of stuff they don't show you goes up.
But your core stats can go down
Your
when
core
you
stats
level
can
up.
go down. Your core stats will, as you play, they will continually go up over time, but they're gonna do it in sort of a zigzaggy way to go up. You're not
Yeah.
going to get a straight line of everything going up. I think what's more interesting about the inn and the resting system is that if you're old enough and your constitution's low enough, you can die in your sleep.
Yep.
Just screw you, your
Thanks,
guy's dead.
Wizardry. Yep. Like that.
Which
I don't
is
know.
drives home the point that this isn't about investing in a group of characters or even a character. They're just this was from an era where it was you, the player, versus the guy who wrote the game.
Right.
This is a chess match where he moves all his pieces ahead of time, and then you got to play against that, not knowing where he moved.
Right. Which is weird. So like the
It's not a
getting
concept modern people necessarily latch onto, and it's one I even forget from time to time.
yeah, it does like it feels like is there a big badass at the bottom of this maze thing?
Yes.
Okay, but you that's not who you're fighting. Like you're fighting this maze.
Yes.
And so my experience when I finally had my 6 dudes who were good enough to get out of the first 3 rooms, I immediately got lost.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, fuck this. I'm done. Because like I can handle a maze, whatever. I've played enough dungeon crawl games. But like one of the first things that happens is you get into like there's all kinds of one-way doors and there's this area where you just can't see anything. I was like, "Oh my god, this
Well, why
is
did you go
just
into the dark area if you could? Don't do that.
well, yeah, I know I shouldn't have done that."
Like, and
But I
there's
was
there's the thing that's great. The game is unfair. Well, a game is hard, but never unfair. You went into the dark area. You went further than you remembered to go back to. There are some times where you'll get trapped on the other side of something, but there is a way to fight your way out. There's always a way. So if you pushed further than your guys were ready,
which I did. That was on me, but
yeah,
that's how I guess I wanted to play. Like I was ready. Like I want to explore this maze. I want to see some shit, and like I would say this. You told me to download a map, or to find a map of the dungeon
I said, yeah, if you're not having fun with the exploring part, go get a map.
because I think you know me pretty well, and that was good advice. But I almost think like if I were mapping this, maybe that wouldn't have happened because then I
Yep.
would have been like, uh, I
Yeah.
would have been more invested in tracking every step that I took and
I told you
which,
that to help you move along faster within a month. If I was telling anyone else to play this, I would say do not look up maps. The point of this game is the exploration, is
is to
the
build
figuring it out.
to make the map yourself.
Yep. Um, I'm
But even
pro.
that could be quite frustrating because of the one-way doors and like the
Yeah.
darkness.
I'm gonna do a
Uh,
tutorial on this game, on how to play old school role playing games. I'm gonna do actually a multi-part series over the next
yeah,
because
I'll watch it because like I think well, I'm trying to think. Like I was debating today, uh, this morning because I knew I was going to wind up being hard on it and I wanted
be
to be
hard on
fair.
it.
So where I landed on it was the things that I like about role playing are character development, loot, story, and like exploration. And I don't think that this game. I think it's so old that it can't really deliver those things in a satisfying way.
It will not deliver on story. That's one of the things I
Definitely
like
not.
about it. Um, Character advancement is so weird that you have to go a long time before you feel the advancement. In loot,
Yeah.
you're not going to get anything great on the first level. You've got to be down to like level 3 or 4 before the loot starts getting awesome. So it definitely deals with this old school mentality, and we'll talk about like the old school mentality in spells because that's where it really shines through here.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to talk about spells too.
Um, but it's this: you start out weak. You start out one hit from something will kill you, and not to be back in my day, but back in my day, that's how gaming was. And
Well, yeah, because you had one game, like because that's all your computer could do,
well, and
and
that's
so
what
you just
Dungeons
play.
and Dragons was based on. It was based
Yeah.
on this one hit will kill you at first level, and only heroes can take multiple. The first guy might get lucky with like maybe 2 hits, but a big monster or a solid shot from somebody tough will just wipe you out. And I miss that in modern games. I miss the God damn it, I'm dead. It's one of the things I like about Darkest Dungeon is when somebody dies, yeah, I'm frustrated and I might need to walk away for a second. But there were real stakes to the game. There was a
Hmm.
possibility of something going horribly wrong, and oops, I guess there we are. The game I had to abandon in this. So when we were playing this time, since I've beaten this multiple times and I just play to goof around now, I managed to somehow, and I'm not entirely sure how I did it. I got my guys into one of the elevators and took them down because once you're high enough level, there's elevators that'll take you all the way down to 4, and then you go to another place and you can take an elevator basically all the way down to 9. So you can skip the whole maze once you can get to the elevators.
Hmm.
And I got myself stuck in a section where I needed a key to go through a door, and I do not know how I did this. You need a key to get through a door, but I was behind the door, so every time I tried to go out it, normally it kicks you back a step, but because it kicks you back a step, it was throwing me back into the locked area.
Oh,
And I couldn't.
jeez.
I've got a team of level 9s who are stuck on level 4 and 5 of the dungeon because there is no way for them to get to something that lets them go up. They
Wow.
are permanently trapped in the dungeon. And modern gaming wouldn't put up with that shit.
No, and I wouldn't like
Yeah.
because that's similar. Like my experience was once I finally got good enough to get out of the first three rooms,
Hmm.
and I and then all of a sudden it shifted from me being sick of having to get out of the dungeon constantly to desperately needing to find out how to
How
get
to get
out of
out
the
of the
dungeon.
dungeon.
And it was just like, God damn it, I can't win with this fucking game. Because I'm like poisoned, my guys are dying, and like, oh, just
Well,
come on.
and I hope maybe because we do talk about everything at the end of the year again. I'm hoping maybe you'll like play occasionally through the rest of the year. Like not sit down to play, but sometimes you're like, I would like to do a dungeon grind and kill 15 minutes and not do it on an intense thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna promise that I will,
No, I
but
don't expect you to.
I need some time away from Wizardry
Hmm.
right now. But
Yeah,
I could like I think you're right. Like I think if you viewed this as like a long term project, where you have your days where you just feel like doing it and you do it for a while, and I think that would be fun.
well, and
But
one of
I think we did ourselves a disservice trying to do this all in a month.
a little bit. Um, one of the thing, and I want to talk about that too. So doing role playing games in a month, nearly impossible. This is the closest one we can get to it. Even Ultima 4 was we did it, but we missed huge sections at the end of it.
Yeah.
You I'm going to say from now on when we pick a role playing game, because I've been trying to figure out how we're going to do Magic Candle. I love Magic Candle, but you're not doing it in a month. Might not
Right.
be doing it in 2, but you're definitely not doing it in a month. We're going to do two-parters. We're going to come in a month and say what we've experienced so far and what we've played and how we feel, and then we're going to do it again and maybe one more time if we still need some more playing to really get a full sense of the game. But role-playing games can't be done in a month.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it, because then you don't have to focus on seeing as much of the game in
Right,
30 days. Like you
right.
can actually focus on playing it the way you would play it
Yep, yep. And
if
just
you were a real
enjoy it.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which my point to this was one of the things I think makes this game great for that style of play that almost no other role playing game will get you is because there's no story, you don't have to remember anything.
That is true.
You just you pull out your map and you're like, okay, my character's got this far in the map.
Yeah.
I can go back and push some more. And back to the come on, brain, you got this. Sometimes when somebody dies when you're about like level 6 or 7 and you're like, oh god, I gotta resurrect them. And you don't have the money for it. You start
Mhm.
building your second bench. You bring in like your thief dies. So you bring in a first level thief and you drag him with you, and he's going to power level with all your guys because you're able to fight harder things. And so
Right.
once you get to like level 5 or 6 and you start building that second bench, a death doesn't hurt you as badly. You've got somebody to kind of fill in while you're waiting for them to resurrect. And it's a very Darkest Dungeon in how you manage your party and you manage your roster. It's kind of a team management game that way, and it's a group effort, not just here are your 6 guys and they're going through the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's probably important to understand because I wanted to have a party of six adventures that I love that I want to
Mm-hmm.
you know
No, fuck those guys.
nope, not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. Um, I remember the first time I got down to level 2 in this game. Well, not the first time, in this last month. And I had forgotten that on level 2 there's Vorpal bunnies. And so like I'm feeling completely badass. Like level 1 no longer holds any problems for me. My guys are like level 9 and 10. I go
Mhm.
down to level 2. Vorpal bunny decapitates you. No damage roll. No anything else. I failed to save. The guy's dead.
Great.
I'm like, oh, son of a. And I had to pull out and like kind of push my luck down there and take my chances and know when to run. And it is a constant game of you start to get ahead and then you find yourself behind. You start to get ahead and you find yourself behind. You got to decide how much you want to grind to push and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It
Which I
seems
know
to me like
sounds
this whole thing was
so
like
sexy, doesn't it?
it's like made in a lab to frustrate me. Like, oh, we'll have a horrible interface, and you'll just die randomly, and leveling up makes you worse. Eric's gonna hate this. Oh, God damn it!
When you describe it like that.
Oh
Oh,
well.
well.
So let's talk about the spell system,
Let's
which
talk
is
about the spell
also
system.
annoying.
Yes.
So you have no way. This was my like. You have to type the names of the spells,
Okay. You're going to go start there. All right.
which is fine
Mm-hmm.
because that's standard. It's
There's
it's
some old
better
school
than
stuff where we're going to have to do that. Yeah.
typing a number that corresponds to the spell, because at least
Right.
then and there's a grammar to the spells that I
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah.
You have Dios, which is heal, and then you
Yeah.
have Badios, which is
Not heal.
the opposite of heal, and then you have Dios Mio, which summons a you know Mexican
I was
grandmother.
going to say a taco.
Yeah. So I liked that there was that kind of grammar around
Mm-hmm.
the spell system. What I didn't like was not knowing what spells I have
Easily. Yeah.
easily, because it's like a big production. Because you have to
Got to go
go.
into camp and then you got to read your book and then you can see what spells you've got and then you got to look what those words mean in the manual and yeah,
Yeah, did not care for that.
I get that.
Like, I should be able to see. I want to see what spells I have whenever I like. I
I
don't want to
go
get in combat and think, "Oh shit, I forgot to check what spell I got."
my my only defense, and it's not an acceptable defense, but it is my defense. The game came out in 1981. It was written in 1979.
Yeah,
There
like there
was
probably wasn't room on the screen, or I don't
right.
know.
Well, I mean, and originally written for like the Apple II and Pascal. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
impressive for what it is, but you are absolutely correct. It's not. There's better ways to do it, but there was no way to know. Like it was an era of video games where they threw everything at the wall to see what stuck. This didn't. That's
yeah. Well, there were like 10 Wizardry games though, so some of it stuck.
well, I mean, people like. We should talk about the second one before we leave. Okay, since I said it like that, second Wizardry game was a an actual direct sequel to this. in so much that if you did not import characters that won from this game, or at least were very, very close to, you basically couldn't play the second Wizardry game.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you had to come in with characters who were ready to rock and roll. You couldn't just pick it up and play. And
Oh,
apparently the developers and the guy who ran the company got in a debate about that, and he feels he's won because it didn't sell as well. It still sold well. This was a really popular game, more popular than Ultima.
wow.
Yeah,
Wizardry?
Wizardry. I think I got
No
the stats at
shit.
the head of our notes. It sold more than you won in its first pass. It sold 24,000 copies
Hmm.
off the bat, and was so popular that people were making character editors and selling them in magazines for this game.
Neat.
Yeah, that's the level of popularity it got to. I've watched a couple interviews with people who used to work at SirTec when this came out. And people would talk about he was talking about some people would lose their characters in the maze or something like that. And he's like, please, please, can I got like a level 30 guy down there. I don't want to lose him. And they'd mail their discs in and they'd do
Wow.
something at the company and fix it for him and send them back. And I'm like, you know what? That's awesome for those guys, but
Yeah.
it shows the level of attachment people got to this. And part of it is because there was nothing else.
Hmm.
Um, I had a feeling you were going to feel this way about this game. Like I knew you were either going to key in on it, really get it, and really love it, or you weren't. And there was no two ways. But I picked it anyway because we really can't do Might and Magic or Bard's Tale without you seeing where they came from.
Yeah. Yeah, like I played some of the early Might and Magic games and liked them a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
they had some issues. I'm sure we'll do them and talk about those,
Yeah.
uh but you're right, like they're straight from this, and even like, there's a lot of games that kind of use this model.
Mm-hmm.
uh
Yeah. I,
so yeah, I think historically, like, it's definitely a significant game, but I don't it's just like not that much fun.
it's my bubble gum. That's how I consider it. It's bubblegum. If you're looking for something really quality and substantive, something you're going to sink your teeth into, no, you're right. This isn't the game. If you're looking for something you can like chew for a little bit and just enjoy it for what it is and then move on, Wizardry. You just I want to play something where I kill monsters in a dungeon. Great, that's Wizardry.
Hmm.
Because then I can put it on a shelf again, and when I pick my guys back up, I haven't lost any memory of what happened because there was nothing to remember.
Right. Get your notebook full of maps out and like
Yeah.
get
Or
your guys.
don't. Or
Yeah.
oh, I lost all my maps. Oh well,
Yeah.
whatever. I guess doesn't matter. Oh, the thing I wanted to talk about spells. Um, this uses the old school Dungeons and Dragons spell system. You can cast so many level 1 spells per day. You can cast so many
Hmm.
level 2 spells per day. I have always hated that system. Always.
Especially when there's no way to camp in the maze.
Right, and get your stuff back? Yeah, no.
Hmm.
You've got to get out and go to town.
Yeah. So did it bother you in Wizardry then,
It's
having to do that?
yeah, I mean it's bothered me as a kid, it bothered me, it still bothers me today. It makes no sense to me um why the levels matter. Why there's these 10 spells or however many there are for level 1 and you can cast those 4 times a day. And then these next ones you can only cast 2 a day, but you got to pick from this list and this list and then the third list.
Right.
And like why do I not just have a list? Like okay, I can understand some are more powerful. Or I
Sure.
could understand that I can only cast light twice a day, but I can cast magic missile 5 times a day. I could get behind that. But this weird arbitrary list thing,
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't.
It doesn't make sense. I was like, just like give me some spell points and let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Now,
here you.
go on.
I was just gonna say, are you reading your spell book? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I was. Um, Here's one of the things this game did that I know you complained a little bit about when we were talking. Character creation, you assign points to stats. You pick a race, it gives you a default set of stats, and then you assign so many points to the stats. You're basically going to create the same guy every time unless you feel like changing it up.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. No rolling at
no
all.
rolling.
Just the same stats. Same guy.
Which is actually a modern contrivance of RPGs. Most modern RPGs just have you pick stats now.
Yeah, that is true. Based
So,
on race, based on profession or whatever.
mhm. So I mean, these early games kind of, I don't know if they ended up being what influenced like third edition and beyond, where you could do that, or what happened. Like there, I lost a bunch of stuff and gained a bunch of stuff
Hmm.
because reasons.
Yeah, because why not?
Yep. Lost gain, lost gain, lost gain.
Yeah, it's such a weird system.
I wish I
But
could have gotten someone to die in their sleep while I was playing. I would have loved to show that.
yeah, like I love that it happens, but I would not love it if it happened to me.
Right. I get it.
Yeah, so like you learn new spells, now you have to go find out what they are,
Mm-hmm.
and you lost IQ.
There's the thing, like, I do take some issue with whatever your character's core stat is, that doesn't go down. Like
Right,
I'm working a job where I use my brain. I'm not getting stupider. I understand that I'm sitting in a chair and I'm getting weaker, but I'm not getting dumber.
right. It's
Um,
totally seemed random
yeah,
what you gain and lose, which you're right. I didn't care for that.
yeah.
Let's see, what else did I want to bitch about?
Oh, so much stuff.
Um,
Anything in terms of running away in combat or order of combat that you basically choose all your actions before you fight and then find out how it went down?
so I really didn't like that I would kill people and then it doesn't reduce the total of monsters till the end of the turn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that bothered me, but it did. I also didn't like the looting system because I don't like having to identify shit. I think that's a dumb mechanic. Like it's a big shield. I don't need to know
Right.
anything else. I need to know if I can lift it up and if it's better than my other shit.
I've always taken issue with that. Now, I'm willing to give them, okay, you might not know all the stats behind it.
Sure, that's fine.
That's
Or
fine.
if it's magic, I get having.
It's a
But like
magic,
you,
but then it should say it's a magical shield or something like that. And I should still be able to use it as a shield. I should still be able to use it as a sword. Maybe
mhm.
not use it to its optimum whatever until I get it identified, but I know the pointy end goes in the bad guys and I hold the not sharp stuff.
Yep.
So that
Uh,
but that's a thing that goes on even in modern games. I'm gonna ding it, but at the same time,
yeah.
I
It's you know I don't know. It's a choice they made, I guess. But
um
uh,
my
let's see.
problem with the like killing all the creatures. So like you're fighting the monsters. Let's see if we can find some here. So let's say you're fighting 3 orcs, and I have all my fighters attack because what else are they gonna do? And
Hmm.
then I have my mage cast sleep.
Hmm.
If I kill all 3 orcs, my mage still casts sleep and wastes the spell. And I'm like, did you not see they were gone? Did you
Yeah.
not? Do we really need to waste that spell right now? Did you?
Right. Maybe you just want to parry if you don't.
If there's
You know.
nobody to attack, maybe don't use the spell.
Yeah.
Throwing ideas
Especially
out.
with the goofy like so many times a day shit. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember Final Fantasy used to do that. You'd attack and you'd kill a bad guy, and then your other guys would all be queued up to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
They're dead, so they
No,
just like.
That's an
attack
old
nothing.
school problem, and we're going to run into that in a lot of games, but it does always bother me. Like,
Yeah,
and yet there's some of me that understands. It depends on what you're considering the speed of the rounds are. Like if I go to punch somebody and you go to punch him at the same time and he dies before your fist gets there, you haven't stopped punching. But a
that's true.
spell is, I don't know. It's I'm back and forth on it, but with as punishing as spells are in this game and how little you get, really
Right,
should have sided on the side of the player.
right.
I do like that there are spells that are not just damage. There's light spells and know your location spells and teleport spells, and there's some things, some utility spells beyond damage and defense.
Yeah, that is cool. I so much of the game involves getting back to town. That bugs me. So having those utility spells is very beneficial because at some point you're gonna need to get out in a
Right.
jiffy.
Well,
So
when you're
yeah,
high enough level up and you have the teleport spell, you just cast the first spell. It's like, where am I in the dungeon? Okay, cast teleport, boop boop, and I'm up. Cast teleport, boop boop, and I'm out. And it get a high enough level, and it gets real easy to get out of the dungeon.
yeah, it's just getting there that's a grind.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
like the chest disarm system is kind of strange too.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a lot of defense from me on the chest disarm system. I don't
Because you
mind typing
inspect
in.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to teach little kids how to spell the word poison, which I apparently still struggle with.
Bard's Tale
But
2 drilled that into my head. I can spell poison now really well, but I could not before I started playing that game.
it's weird, like because you'll get them wrong and they just explode, or you can just like, well, I'm. It's probably going to be poison needle on level 1 because it
Hmm.
seems like that's largely what they are.
Yeah, then it's a stunner. Son
Yeah,
of a.
yeah, it's kind of irritating and like I don't know. It gives the thief something to do.
Right. You need a thief just for that reason, but otherwise you don't need a thief,
Right,
which is really annoying to like force you to take a class.
right. Single threaded.
Yeah.
Basically does one thing
Yeah.
because they're not great in combat.
No. No, they're not. I don't have it. It's if there was more interesting things the thief could do. If like putting the thief at the front of the party lets you avoid other traps even would be something. But
Right.
they're there for chests.
Yep.
If I'm trying to remember it's Bard's Tale 2, I think, added uh thieves can like hide in shadows and then backstab things that are further back,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Um that sort of thing. Like, okay, there's a role for the thief then in combat. It's doing something interesting. It's able to sneak back and take out those mages you can't get to otherwise.
Right.
All right, let's do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. The rank system in general, like how the first 3 guys in your party are the only ones that can attack
And get
uh,
hit.
and get hit. Yeah. Kind of strange, but
You're gonna see a lot of it though.
yeah, that was the case with what was the other game we played that had that recently?
Oh,
I
what
don't know.
game? Yeah, there's another game. There's a lot of games that's it's attack,
Yeah.
attack, attack, defend, defend, defend. And that's how you're gonna go through most of the dungeon as you get to higher levels because everybody else is saving their spells.
Yeah. Fantasy was like that,
Yes.
where you have the guys in the back and
Yeah. But you can still end up with people getting attacked because they're in different spots in fantasy. It's weird.
yeah.
Fantasy was weird.
Yeah.
I'm going through my tips
Yeah,
here.
I'm
Don't
looking
get attached. It's okay to. Oh, skimming gold. So if you really
right.
want to make a lot of money, create a bunch of characters, pool all their gold, delete all the characters. We just strip naked. Just shake
Yeah.
people down as they come to town and then send them on their way. Uh,
Yeah, a pretty good strategy because it sure beats having to shuffle gold around and
mhm.
I mean, it's still shuffling gold around, but shuffling equipment around and trading
Yeah.
was such a pain in the ass.
Well, and
So
it gets you into high quality gear faster. You can get the anointed flail, you can get plate mail like right out the gate, and that should not be underappreciated. That lowers your AC quite a bit. I don't do
mhm.
that lately because I don't need to anymore. Um, like you were talking about, you were always dying in the dungeon, and then when we sat down to show you, I think I played an entire hour, and one guy died, and I think it was because of a trap. It wasn't even
Yeah,
it wasn't even because of combat. You can get better at the game. It doesn't feel like it, but there is a personal skill involved in doing the combats and knowing when to get out, and that sort of thing.
yeah. It's almost like the perspective is what you need because, like, if you run into scruffy humans, you got to know
Yeah.
if you're level 1 or 2, you got to run. Whereas small humanoids, you don't really have to. You don't have to sweat those as much.
And like as a kid, I used to be like, "Oh, scruffy humanoids! I'm gonna get a ton of XP for this." And I think it wasn't until like 3, 4 years of playing this, I'm like, you know what? Just run. They're not worth
Yeah,
the XP.
no, because
Just
it's going to take you 20 minutes to get your party back in order as
those
soon
guys
as you
can
get
do
to.
like 18 points of damage. So unless you're level like 7, in which case you're probably pushing off the dungeon anyway, just take off.
Yeah, just
Um,
run.
there's
It's
a
nice.
hmm?
I was going to say it's nice that you can usually run really easily
Yeah.
unless you're
Well,
surprised.
and I mean, that's the sort of example of it's you versus the dungeon. You start learning how the dungeon works. You start learning that those guys generally don't appear in the first 3 rooms. And it's not till you leave them that they start showing up. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's that personal skill in addition to your character skill. And there aren't a lot of games I've found that manage to blend those two things together. It's why this is still always a personal favorite of mine. Is there is some of me that has to be good at this game
Hmm.
where it would be really easy to just make it all a stat game and not have it fall on you. To to make this kind of game and still have it have that balance is tough. I think they did it by accident. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they set out to do this. Um, but it is something I like about it. I was gonna say one of the other things is like after you get to such and such a level where you're like pushing out of the first 3 rooms, you'll eventually find another guaranteed encounter in the level 1 part of the dungeon.
Hmm.
That the first couple times you fight it is gonna be really hard on you, but once you can kill it consistently, it's 1,000 XP for all your characters every time you kill it. You can just
Oh
bounce
wow.
into the room and just and that's how you end up being like level 10, 11 before you go down to
Oh,
level 2. And then you hit a Vorpal bunny that just kills you and you're
right. And you like this?
done. It's because it's something I sit down and I'm like, okay, I've got a couple guys who are ready to level up. I'm just going to take them into the dungeon. I'm going to get them another level. Oh, I didn't even get to level 2 before they leveled up. I pop out. I get them their level. And I'm like, you know what? That's good. I'm good for the day. And then maybe I'll play in a month or two again and run some characters through the dungeon again and see what happens.
Yeah. Like I think if I had gotten past the hump where it's
Mm-hmm.
just constant. I don't know. This game like punches you in the face, and you're like, ow, and then it punches you in the face again. Like, ow, and then you're like, this time I'm gonna protect my face, and then it kicks you in the balls.
Yeah.
That's
You're
what this
like,
game is like in the first few levels.
well, then you're like, okay, so I've got to like have one hand up and one hand down. But eventually you learn where the game's going to punch you. You're like, okay, it's not that it punched me in the face twice and then once in the balls. It wasn't that it was smarter than me. It's just in a pattern of face, face, balls, face, face, balls. So now that I
Yeah,
know where I'm at, block, 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 and I can just go through. And I feel smarter than the game because I figured that out.
yeah. I can see that being satisfying because my experience wasn't satisfying in any way, and I think that was the main because I wasn't really getting anything out
Right.
of it.
Well,
Uh, to the point where I was with my characters, and
hmm
maybe if I had more time or like more.
well, I think this goes into one of the things you said about auto duel in terms of the era this came out of and things like that. You're like, you liked auto duel because you spent your allowance on it and you didn't have any other.
Right. How
Back
much
in
of
back in 1981, how many other games were there even there to play?
Right. So how much of your love for this is nostalgia versus just like this being a quality gaming experience?
Considering I keep playing it, I'm gonna go with not a lot of nostalgia. Some for sure, but I just like I calling it quality is
That's not fair.
that's not fair. It's it's a gaming experience and it's one I don't have to invest a lot of myself into when I'm in the mood for something light. I like role playing games. I will always like role playing games, but I don't always have the emotional investment to get
Right.
into Pillars of Eternity, to get into Ultima, to get into something that's going to be a month or 2 months or a lot of energy and time. This
Yeah.
doesn't demand that of me. If I want to do one dungeon run or 20 dungeon runs, I can spend 15 minutes or 15 hours in this game and I'm going to get exactly what it promises that entire time.
Yeah. I think that sums it up really
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, don't go into it thinking you're getting high end stuff. You're getting a mid shelf, low shelf scotch.
Yep. It's gonna get you drunk.
It's gonna get you drunk, and you're gonna be like, well, that's better than a cheap beer.
Yep.
Yep. Anything else you want to complain about on this game?
Mm, no, I think.
You think you've
Jeez, I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feelings?
no, not
I
at
know you
all.
love this game,
Not
and
that
I
much though.
really
So
wanted to like it. And like,
that's
I should have played it probably more than I did.
nope.
Um,
Again, this is part of this is your experience with it and us just experiencing that. So yeah, I don't feel, and I knew going in, I'm like, I don't know, maybe he's gonna love this, maybe he's not. Um, but
yeah. Sometimes I'm surprised by like I'll think, oh, I'm not gonna like this, and then I play it a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Like this is really
hmm
good, and I understand uh, why why you like the game and
right,
how how it could be fun to play. It's just like
not your jive.
not my jam. Yeah, I just didn't get into it enough, I guess.
Well, and that's again, part of what I wanted here is you to see this so that when you see Might and Magic 1 and you see Bard's Tale 1, there's a sense of familiarity with those and some of the lessons from those that you can take and apply here.
Yeah,
And that'll be great.
yeah.
All
And
right.
we're out of video, like the
We're
perfect
out of
timing.
video. That's just timing. We got to talk about what we're playing next month. Now, you and I had talked, like, we might have been changing up our list here. Uh,
I
and then
don't even
we
remember where we landed on
we
this.
didn't land anywhere is the problem.
Okay, so let's do it right now. What are give me like three and I'll pick one.
Okay. The one we had lined up was Jagged Alliance,
Mm,
which isn't
okay.
bad, but I also wouldn't mind something a little more actiony.
Yeah.
After that, we had Carmageddon,
Oh,
which is not a horrible choice.
that could be fun.
Yeah, but I'm going through like our giant list of things. We have a lot of RPGs in here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of RPGs in here. Feel like
Let's.
Starflight's not really actiony enough. Syndicate would be
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of like. Do you think there's enough game in Carmageddon for us to really kick it around for an hour?
I don't know. I
You want to just do
genuinely.
Jagged Alliance?
Let's do Jagged Alliance.
All right.
We'll talk more
We'll do
about
it.
Carmageddon for the following month. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't.
Yeah.
I did you play a lot of Jagged Alliance back when I had it?
I didn't play it a lot. No. I did play it some. Like I remember how small everyone was. That's what I remember. The teeny tiny little guys.
They're really
But it's
tiny. The two things I remember about it are crafting items like in the field, like making
mhm.
stuff to make bigger bombs and explosions and stuff. And like you can get some equipment that's like headphone listening equipment, so you can get a better sense of where people are before you can see them, which is I love the strategy aspect of
Yeah. Yeah. Let's play Jagged Alliance. It'll be fun.
that. Okay. Um, yeah. All right.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
All right.
I've said all I need to say.
All right. I'll start a little wizardry tutorial series sometime this month and throw that up for people too. So if somebody doesn't want to play wizardry, they can maybe follow along.
Yeah.
And then
Awesome.
next month, Jagged Alliance. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
You can do it.
What could go wrong? Oh, nothing in wizardry, that's for sure.
Right. Wizardry is just things going wrong constantly.